the new climate war, the title of my recent book, it's about the challenges we now face now that we've gotten past denial. That's a D word, denial. And the forces of inaction, I call them inactivists in the book, fossil fuel interests, politicians doing their bidding, conservative media organizations, the Murdoch media empire in the United States, Fox News, the Wall Street Journal editorial pages. They realize they can no longer deny that climate change is happening because people can see it with their own two eyes. People know that it's happening. So they've turned to these other tactics, a litany of other D words like division, getting climate advocates fighting with each other online, finger pointing, carbon shaming each other, to divide us so that we don't speak with a single united voice demanding change. So that's deflection, delay, talking about how we can solve this problem down the road. We will employ geoengineering, interfering with the global climate system in some other way to try to offset the warming effect of carbon pollution. What could possibly go wrong? It would be a disastrous path for us to go down, but you have powerful voices, people like Bill Gates, for example, who've been arguing for geoengineering or carbon capture and sequestration. Yeah, we might have to do it at some point to try to bring carbon dioxide levels back down, but too often now it's used as a crutch for politicians and polluters who don't want to take the actions now to decarbonize our economy, to lower carbon emissions, to transition from renewable energy. So there's this promise that we'll just magically suck the carbon back out of the atmosphere. And that just won't be viable if we continue on the path that we're on. And too often it creates an excuse for politicians to kick the can down the road and make promises about what we'll supposedly do in 2050. All these commitments about net zero in 2050. Most of the politicians making those commitments aren't going to be around in 2050. And it's not a good faith engagement on this issue. There is doomism, finally, another D word. If they can convince us, ironically, the forces of inaction, that it's too late to do anything about the climate crisis, ironically, it can lead us down the same path of disengagement as outright denial. And what it does, what's so pernicious, is it takes environmental activists, progressives, people who would most likely be on the front lines demanding action, and it puts them on the sidelines. And that only helps polluters. So we have to recognize these tactics because they're the only thing standing in our way now. We've made so much progress. We're so close to finally seeing the action that's necessary, but the forces of inaction are still throwing obstacles in our way, and we have to learn how to identify them and push them aside.